Have you guys ever found Football Manager too easy? You're winning too many trophies and you'd love to make it just that little bit more realistic, that little bit more true to real life? Well, today's video shows you how to do that with some of the best modifications to add into Football Manager 2021 to make your experience as authentic as humanly possible. Let's get into it. What's up guys, and welcome back to the FM Scout YouTube channel. My name is Steve or Hood Gaming, and the topic for discussion today is realism within FM21 and some of the fantastic mods that you can get out there to add into your game to make it that even more realistic. But before we dive into this article on the FM Scout website, I do have to say, drop a like on today's video if you want to make your experience in Football Manager even more realistic. Subscribe to the FM Scout YouTube channel and make sure you turn those notifications on so you're told every time that the channel uploads a video, because you don't want to miss out on some of the stuff we have coming in the coming weeks. So this is the article already on the FM Scout website. This will be linked in the description down below, but it's basically a list created by the guys at Scout to make your Football Manager 2021 experience more realistic. As you can see, handpicked selection of add-ons that will reinforce the realism in Football Manager. Now, this article has been created together and put on the FM Scout website, as you can see, and all this downloadable content is available on the FM Scout website. But I will say, guys, it's not just graphical, it's not just trophies, kits, logos, it's so much more than that. So as you can see, here we go. So in terms of graphics and UI, there's obviously the trophies mega pack, which I do have installed as well, and the realistic competition colors. We move down match day experience. You can improve the turf, 3D balls, more realistic weather, better crowds, better crowd sounds if you play with the sounds on. Moving down the skin, I'm going to touch on a little bit more later. The real names license fix. This is a big one for me, making sure that the names are all correct. I can't stand zebra for a start. Then we move down, more transfers related stuff, transfer updates, and also realistic transfer preferences is a really nice one. Obviously, you're not going to necessarily get the best wonderkids from South America wanting to completely uproot their family and move it across to your European powerhouse. So this realistic transfer preferences will help there. We're also going to talk about today some of the realistic transfer values, the realistic injuries in the game, using this modification for injuries, and also the media overhaul, which is an absolutely massive one for me. So first things first, let's start with the media overhaul. So as I mentioned, guys, the media overhaul is one of the most needed things for me in Football Manager this year. As things stand in some of my saves, I just delegate everything to my assistant in terms of media. They always go, they do the tunnel interviews, they do the new signing interviews, absolutely everything. However, with this add-on, the media has been completely overhauled. As you can see, it's version 0.4. And as you can see, they've added more journalists, more personalities. As someone who has a journalism degree, this makes a big deal of difference. 20% personalities based on real life written articles. So you actually get that much more in-depth realism from the journalists and the questions that they ask. 500 more media and their styles, as you can see, more local media outlets. So you are going to see, as you can see here, 20% have favorite clubs. So if you're coming up against their favorite clubs, they may be a little bit biased towards you. Also, employees add based on outlet size. For example, bigger media outlets have several journalists, while smaller may only have one. So you can develop, if you are in the lower leagues, you can develop your relationship with that local journalist that is either covering your team or covering your club or that division. It happens so much in real life football. Having worked in real football myself, you develop these fantastic relationships with these local journalists who can really help you out when they are required to. Moving down, as you can see, there's all these corrections and fixes. This list will be updated regularly, guys, so make sure you do jump onto the website, the FM Scout website, and check it out. But let's move on to the injuries. So then, guys, the next addition for me to touch on in this list is the realistic injuries. They've added 90 new injuries and reworked 90% of the injuries to be more logical, to be more realistic to real world conditions. As you can see, if I scroll down a little bit, with 114 injuries in FM on the surface, there seems to be quite a bit of depth, but looking closer, things are very unrealistic. Blisters are treated by physios, pulled wrist ligaments take only a day or two to recover from. Injury amount is only 70% of real life. and goalkeepers are invincible. That is very, very true. This file will add a whole new layer of depth and strategy to your game. As you can see, it basically gives you the ability to know more about your players, but also the injuries are more realistic. Regular training injuries do happen, and they are going to be more realistic. Your squad aren't going to bounce back immediately, but also you have to bear in mind, this doesn't necessarily only matter for your squad. This happens for every squad in the game. Obviously, if someone goes out with a long-term injury and they're one of your title competitors, you're actually going to want them to be out for as long as possible, really. And I think this will do that. Obviously, you can see here, you have to hire the best physios, use the medical center to watch the player's wrists, and that sort of thing really does play into it when you have this Realism mod installed. That's all I'm going to say about the injuries. I think it's a very good one. Injuries are a massive deal in Football Manager, and I think this modification will really help in that aspect. But now we move on to my favorite mod off of the list on the article on the FM Scout website. If you're looking for realism in Football Manager, then in my opinion, you don't have to look any further than this Realism mod that is on the Scout website. It basically, in short, removes all of the attributes in terms of their numerical value. They are replaced with a bar, which is very interesting. So not only do you no longer see players rated as stars from 1 to 5, you also don't see their attributes rated from 1 to 20 as well. There are some screenshots here, but I am going to jump in game in a second, show you what this skin looks like, because I think it's just fantastic. If you are looking for as realistic a interpretation as possible, you're going to have to rely on your scouts a lot more. You're not going to be able to just quickly determine how good a player is. So guys, here we are in game with the Realism mod. This is currently my Glory Hunter save. We are currently at AS Monaco. However, let's dive into things. I'm going to go into PSG, I think, and I'm going to take a look at Kylian Mbappe, who is obviously the striker for PSG. Now, as you can see, this is part of the Realism mod. You can see how good he is in certain attributes by looking at the graph here. You can see he's an elite attacking midfielder, although PSG and I would play him as a striker as well. But you really have to take into account all of this graph here. It's not just a standard graph that you get in Football Manager. It really does pay more attention into the details of what you need in certain positions and how good that player is. However, rather than looking at Kylian Mbappe and going, oh, he's got 17 finishing, I now have to leave that up to my interpretation and my coach's interpretation of how good a player Kylian Mbappe actually is. Now, obviously, this is it's kind of easier to sort of interpret with your players, but when it comes to really signing a player, you're going to have to really do your homework, guys. You're going to have to rely on your scouts. You're going to have to get that player in on trial if you're in the lower leagues. Get that player in on trial and really take a look at them and really see what the opinions of your staff members are. As I said, in terms of mods and trying to make things more realistic in Football Manager, this is the best way to go. So guys, that is where I'm going to leave things for today. Make sure you do check out this article by Stam on the FM Scout website. It will be linked down below in the description and will be updated regularly as soon as other more realistic mods come out to make the game even more realistic for you and for your playing pleasure. I have other guides and sort of talk throughs like this on my YouTube channel myself, which will be linked down in the description as well. Would really appreciate it if some of you guys came over and checked out some of the content on there. But that is where I'm going to leave things for today, guys. Hope you have enjoyed this mod sort of exploration and finding the things that can make Football Manager more realistic for you. Take care, and I'll see you very soon.